G'day viewers, welcome to Rob's Mods and Reviews. This is just a short modification to the Hubsan H501S quadcopter. For those that have one, know that there's no OSD information displayed on your headset, whether it be your Fat Sharks or whatever. So this modification is going to give us the battery voltage indicator, or the flight battery voltage indicator, displayed up on our headset, plus time. So for those who've done their long range extension, antenna extensions, are going to find this pretty useful, this modification. So at the end of the day, what we're going to have is, you've got our bands on the top and bottom. We now have our flight battery voltage down the bottom and time. As soon as you plug your battery in, these will appear up into your headset. It won't affect your video, so when you hit record on your flight, it won't affect that at all. And because it's in the bottom band, it doesn't affect your visual, so you have no OSD displayed up in your main visual. Alright guys, I'm going to strip this down and show you start to finish. I've changed this video from the original, from the paper one. A lot of my nephews around Australia are struggling with this mod, so I decided to pull this one apart and show you how to do it from start to finish. Alright, so I'll start removing. So you need to remove all your screws from your feet first, all the way around to the whole floor, and you just have to be very careful because there's wires under here guys. So I'll get this first one off, I'll show you, because there's two screws under here we need to get to. So you've got to be careful of these wires in here. Okay, so once you've taken your screws out of all your feet and they're all loose, you find you've got two little screws inside. We need to remove those little screws from all four legs. Now, pay to get yourself a little container. Put all your screws in so you don't lose them. Nothing worse than coming back and finding half your parts are missing. So we do this to all four legs. So once you've removed those two little screws, you'll have another two screws in each leg. So we need to remove those screws as well. When you go to put these little screws back in, be very careful. Don't over tighten them because they'll strip really easy and they become useless after that. So you only want to be gentle screwing them back in. So we'll go through and remove all these big screws. So once you've done that guys, just put another screw back in your feet once you've removed those little ones. Just protects those wires so they're not dangling around and you break them off. When I first did this, I actually broke two wires off the LEDs and put it all back together and realised the wires were broken, and so I pull it all apart again and start from start. So it just pays just to put one screw in, just light. You don't have to do it right up, just to hold that cover back on. So the LEDs aren't flipping around. Alright, so there's a little clip up the front here, so we need to be careful when we lift our lid up. So we just want to... sorry guys. Put your screw in the front. Up in the front holder. Just pry it apart first. Don't even know if the thread's going to be there. If not, we might use a bit of tape. It holds. Right, so we just slowly pry the legs, the cover, top cover off the legs, and then we lift up from the back first to try and lift the back up, and just slowly, and then the front little clip will just unpop without breaking. And once we do that, we're going to have two wires up in here. So we've got the GPS wire. Now they'll have glue on them. Well, I pre-glued them before, so I need to get that glue off. Yours will have glue on it as well. So very carefully get your glue off those plugs without damaging your plug. And then we just want to pop those little two connections out very gently. One's a geo sensor and the other one's a GPS. Don't forget your antenna if you've done the antenna mod, the external antenna mod for yours. That antenna is for the 5.8 gigahertz FPV module. Alright, so now we need to get this main board off. So you need to come around and take all the glue off your fittings or your connections from your motors, ESCs to you want to make sure they're all de-glued, so we're not putting too much pressure on them. And we'll just slowly pop them out. Just like that. Now there's your OSD module. It just sits just in the front there above your camera. So all I've done, I removed the heat shrink off this and I took the pins away off it, and then I soldered straight to the board. You've got two wires here which run to your FPV module down the bottom there, and these other two wires, they go to your battery, so they'll run up to the back here, and it just goes to positive and negative on your battery. So we need to remove that as well. So I'll remove these and then I'll come back with the soldering iron. Right guys, this one here is your 2.4 gigahertz aerial. Pop that one off as well. There's little tabs on these little ones. You got to push down on the back to release them ones. Alright, start up the soldering iron. So while it's heating up, we remove our screws off the main board. Now it's up to you guys whether you want to completely strip these out to save you from desoldering your positive and negative for your motor wires. I'm just going to desolder them to get our FPV module out of the bottom there. So we need to completely remove this board off the top. If it's really clever, you can probably move it off to the side and unscrew it all, like so. The ESCs will just kind of pop up, so it might even be easier. And you'll have 4 screws down here in the bottom. I don't. I removed mine. I lowered this down and I put any vibration pads underneath mine. So trying to get was trying to work out how to get that little bit of jello out of the video, but the jello is coming from the actual camera, so that's something we can look at doing later. Okay, so once you remove your 4 screws out of your FPV module, you have another 2 here up on the camera, and we want to take this camera protective bracket off. There's your camera down in there. Your camera is going to be glued in, so you have to very gently remove the glue from that. And be careful because you've got your ribbon wire going to the board, so just be very gentle when you're doing this. And your wires are already disconnected. The wires go to the main board up top there, so you've already disconnected all that. And I've got my antenna here, so I've just got to feed that through. Very gently, just pull it all through. That's that. You just won't have to do this, but I do because I've already pre-done mine. Right, here we go. So, right, so that's that. So we'll put that aside, quad aside. And this is our module. So we just keep coming along each tab. Now we don't want to put too much heat on these tabs. And there's little pads, so you just want to slowly keep working your way around the board. As soon as that solder starts melting, that's it, suck it out. That's it. So our module's off. Alright, so I'll clean these terminals up and clean the need to really clean these terminals here back up again. Remove the solder, and we're going to put fresh solder back on these before we put this module back down again. So I'll go and clean all that up. Alright guys, so what we're doing, we're coming along and we're just going to dab fresh solder on all our terminals. We want to remove the old solder as best we can to get rid of any contaminants that solder may have. And we start fresh with new fresh solder. If you do that, you can't go wrong. We do that to the module, and then we do the same thing to the board. So we have nice, clean, fresh solder on all our terminals. Don't forget your earth at the back here. So we're going to do exactly the same thing for our board. You don't need a lot of solder. I only use really fine fine gauge solder, so this is my normal solder gauge. Don't ask me what gauge it is, guys, I don't know. And then I can get that into focus. And I've got a real fine gauge. It's really good to have a fine gauge because it doesn't put an over excess amount of solder on your joint. Where I find if I use this heavier gauge, you just end up with a massive big blob, and you spend more time trying to get rid of the blob than what it's worth. So it pays to get this. I've had this stuff for years. So alright, those wires are roughly say 100 mil, guys. They're about 100 mil long, 2 yellow ones, and your red and black. Your battery power, we're going 180 for them ones. So I'm up to the 180 for your positive and negative, and that's your battery connection there on your super simple mini OSD. Alright, so I'll prepare the end of these. Alright guys, so these two yellow wires are super fine gauge. So you don't want a heavy gauge wire underneath the your module. Preferably you're better off going with silicon insulated. I haven't got any left, so I'm going to stick with what I've got. But the silicon insulation, that'll stop it from feeding right back. We only need a really small amount of wire coming off the end. We don't need a huge amount of wire sticking out, so we don't want that module sticking up too high. So just need enough wire we can solder onto the tabs, our connections, and we're done. I'll bring this is the original diagram I had before on the previous video, which I'm changing out for this video. So we're going to go from the main PCB, and that's going to come up and go to video in. Not very organised here. Where's that module? I'll desolder that. Get rid of that. Okay, so there's a module. So PC board to, if you're holding your super simple OSD, you got your selector there, so on this side and power on this side. So the power, positive and negatives, there'll be positive top, negative bottom. Right, we're going to have video in at the bottom, video out here at the very top. Okay, the one inside is ground, the one on the outside there is ground. I don't use them. Works fine without it. So video in, we're going to go and solder straight to the board, and it's going to be the second pin down, so the second pin from the top. So looking at the board, I'll try and keep this around the right way so I don't confuse you. So the bottom one is video in. So we only just want to sit that wire. Sticky pad. Yeah, a bit of blue tack would be good, guys. I haven't got any left, so sit this on a bit of blue tack and it'll stop that from sliding around. So we just want to try and get it in the center, close to center as possible. Hold that down. Because we already pre-soldered both ends, they're all just stick in fine. That'd be nice. It's a nice connection. I'll zoom that up a bit for you. Or very hard to get a zoom this close in. So we're just on the connection there. And we're still not sitting up very high. So we've kept our profile down pretty low. So that's pretty good. So that went to the video in. So that goes in. So from the main PCB, we go to video in on the super simple OSD. And the other side, video out, there's my module. That's going to go to the second pin in. So there's our antenna. That will sit on there like that. And basically it's exactly the same pin. We want the same pin. So we're going to come the second pin in. So we're going to have to solder that onto the second one. But we want to do it in such a way that it's not going to be too lumpy. So if we can put a little right angle, sorry about that. It's hard to do this in video at the same time. Put a little bit of right angle. Do a right angle on our wire. Yeah, we don't want to hit our tin can either. Actually, sorry about the right angle. No, we won't put a right angle on. I'm going to come from the top end. Just going to sit that wire there. Alright. So because we've pre-soldered, so it went on nice and easy. Alright, so it's nice and smooth. No big lumps. Alright. So what I do now, I just mix up a little bit of arrow diet, 2-part arrow diet, and we're just going to put that on that tab, on that second pad, and that's going to isolate from that pad to the bottom of that terminal there, that pad, sorry, that pad, that second pad with the wires on, so we're not going to get a connection between those two. So I put a little bit of arrow dye there, and then I cut myself a little fine strip of electrical tape, electrical insulation tape, and I just sit that on top of that, and then I place the module over the top, line it all up, and then we just hit the solder parts there, all through there except for the second pin, and that's it. So I'm going to get my araldite, mix that up, and I'll dab a little bit on that and come back. Alright guys, that's all I use. So we only need a fine, doing too much there. So we just mix those two parts together. All we want to do here is just isolate, insulate, and protect those two wires, because we're going to be moving it around a fair bit when we install it back in. We don't want them breaking off and have to go through this whole process again. So this will lock those two wires right into place. I used to use super glue, but super glue eats the insulation, so it's a bit tougher than super glue. So very, very gentle. Just gonna lift my wire up very super gentle. Give me a bit of araldite in there at the bottom of the wire, and I'll come back over here. Back up further, place that back down, and we're going to secure that wire up to about here I am, and that's going to stop that accidentally tearing that pad off. Okay, let that one set. And while we've got the araldite, I'm going to come to my module. So I want to slowly, gently, make sure that's not, get that into the focus, make sure that's not hitting the tin can. We get our araldite, and we're going to dab on the wire. At the tin can, and I'll glue that one to the tin can. Just like that. I think that's good enough, guys. That'll protect that. That'll secure that wire to the can, and we don't risk tearing it off the pad. Because once you tear it off the pad, your module's basically stuffed. So alright, so I'm going to set them aside. Just let them tack off and dry. It's only a 5-minute araldite, so it won't take long. I'll go get me a coffee. Alright, so that should be nearly dry, and it's just my luck. The clouds are coming over, and the wind's picking up, so I was hoping to do a demonstration today, but that might have to wait. So what I do here is I just a real fine strip of electrical insulation tape. And all I want to do is place it over that second pin. just to give it that little extra insulation. And 2 wires. Right, so our module. Now we line our module up. So, and as we are, we're still a little high. That'll be because of the, sorry guys, it's trying to get this in the view, focus and lined up at the same time is not easy. Because I've got the arrow died in here, we've raised up a little bit, but still good. So a little white, you got your white line square marker on here. The module basically hits the front face here. So the easiest way to do it is to line it up with your 2 back terminals. I just have it so I can just see the white line and my 2 terminals. So we've got our 2 terminals. 1 on the module and 2 on the module and 2 on the board there. Try and get that nice and square. Bear with me guys, as I said, it's hard to do this when I've got a camera right in my face basically. So that's pretty square there. So you just want to heat that up just so that those 2 parts melt. And once we've just to get that to hold. So once that's holding, then we can come back later and just top them up with more solder, and that should secure the rest of it down. So pins are pretty squared up there now. So I'm happy with that, so I'm going to come along and lock those front ones down. Let's get this into so you really do not want to rush this whatsoever. Take your time. Heat the pad up on the main board. Fresh bit of solder and flux in there. My tip might be a little bit too small, because it is fine work. Smaller tip I believe is better. Takes a little bit longer to heat up your pads, but so the best way to do it is just put your tip on the pad, on the PC board pad. Put a dab of solder on top of you, and then go in and out, and then lock it up. Because the PC board, the module's sitting up a little bit high, we need to put a bit of fill underneath. So then we go on the other side of our connection, do the same there. Heat on the piece pad, and fill that in, back out. A little bit more. Not quite happy with that one yet. That should be that. So where are we? We'll get that in the focus. There's my pointer. So I don't know if you can see how we've got a gap now. A gap under the board. That's all. That's just still okay. As long as we've got really good connections here, so we're full. So the actual, we're pushing your pointer. We're pushing your really fine tip solder tip just into the bottom corner there. It pushes the solder into underneath that pad and gives it a really good secure connection. So that one there on the end still not too bad. These ones on the back I'm not really happy with yet, so I'm going to go and do them, hit them again. Alright, so I'm happy with them ones now. Focus. It looks a lot better. Yep, I'm happy with that and that. Alright, so that's what we've got, guys. So all we do now, with the two wires, just place them back down nice and gently. Run them through and we'll lock them into place. Alright, so I'll get my U-Butte hot glue gun. I'm not pulling my gun out just for this little bit. And then we're just going to lock those wires into place there. Just to prevent them from ripping off. A little bit rough, but hot glue gun will probably do a better job. You're not going to see it. It'll be tucked away. And that's it. Alright, that's it, guys. That's it. So that's going to sit back in your quad. Oh, hang on. That's going to sit back in the quad, the base of the quad. You put your screws in. Make sure you put your wire back in. You put your wire back on. So while I'm here, I'm going to lock that back into place. A little bit of glue. Your wire's back into place. Now that's going to sit. Where are we? Aerial. Don't forget your aerial. So if you're at this point, guys, I might pay to get your it's up to you guys. Pull your old aerial out and get yourself a little extension cable and stick your FPV aerial back on your module. Don't like it, I can sell on the side. That's it. So I'll lock that in. that area will come up. So your GPS is right here, ends right there, and that tail fits in there and misses, and you've got plenty of room in here, guys, because that's your basically your GPS there, and it fits up there nicely at the back. It'd be nice to have it down the bottom, coming off the bottom of the quad, but yeah, at this point in time we haven't got the height for that. So sticking out of here, yeah, the range is much better with that with the FPV range, having that having your clover leaf coming off out of the top of the quad, much better. So if you're at this point here now, yeah, it'd pay go and do that. Alright, so basically that's going to sit in your quad like so. Your camera's basically there locked in. This module here, so your wires are just going to tuck up there, and it's just going to sit over the top there like that one. And then what we do, we just run these, once it's in the quad, just tuck them down the side. Very hard to see with that other main board on top, but tuck them up the side, bring that up through the back, and then we just solder positive on the positive battery terminal, negative on the negative battery terminal, and that's it. But I'll come back once I've set this back into the quad, and we'll solder those two positive and negatives up, and that's it. So I'll leave the diagram. I'll leave this diagram up on the video. I'll put this on just as is on the video, so you can always come back to this for a reference. Alright, so once she's all back together, yeah, what you're going to have to do, guys, I forgot to mention this before you put the top cover on the super simple OSD, you'll have that little button. You're going to have to cycle through that button to get that OSD where you want it positioned on screen. I meant to show you this before, but completely slipped my mind. So where's my battery? So plug this in to make sure it's working to start with, then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Turn on the screen. Hope there's no magic smoke. Here we go. Too cocky, you see. I never bothered testing before I put it all together. Oh, looks like we're going. How's that? Alright, so there we are. We're up and going again. And there it is, guys. 5 battery voltage and time. Time starts when, as I said before, as soon as you plug your battery in and you're off. Now, on the cycle buttons, be sitting up here in this corner. Before you put the cover on, cycle through, and that'll get that set up on your display. You can have it so you've just got your 5 battery voltage, or you can keep cycling through, and then the timer will come up and that'll keep cycling through your screen. And I've placed them, as I said before. Now once you've set that into that position, that'll always stay there. And as you seen, I've completely stripped this down, pulled it out, started all over again, put it all back in, and I haven't touched that preset. So that was from previous settings, and it's still in the same position. Thank goodness. I should have checked that before I put the quad together, but it worked out fine, so I'm happy with that. Alright, yeah, so I'm replacing the original video, the first video I made, which was the paper version for this one. Got a few nephews around Australia who are struggling with this concept. They're forever ringing me up and hounding me, so I thought I'd do this video, and this should help a lot of, and then they range from 12 to 14 years old, so this should help a lot of young ones out there, I hope, and those who aren't so handy with electronics, I hope this one helps you guys. But it is a lot better. honestly, it is a lot better having that information. Alright, what I've got coming up next, I've been working on for the last 4 weeks, and I'm telling you, it must be about 5 hours a night for the last 4 weeks. I've been working on this one. This next one is for the Runcam 2 camera, and it's a 2-axis gimbal, and it's going to be for this quad. Right, so the 2-axis gimbal has no motor, no servos, and no stability control system. So the concept was to keep it very, very super simple, lightweight, and didn't want to tap into the battery and chew up any flight time. So basically got the flight camera and the setup for that, so which is not very heavy at all. So yeah, for those who were interested, it's not, as I said, it's not a replacement for a 2-axis gimbal, but it is just a better option than the fixed camera that these ones have, because yeah, it's too much movement in these ones when you're recording. The things all over the house. It doesn't matter how steady and stable you try and keep it, because it's a fixed camera. Yeah, so but with the new 2-axis gimbal I've come up with, should be a lot better. So that'll be the next video, guys. So alright, I appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you all. Alright, safe flying. Bye.